I mean, I found such a groove in it, and it's hard to get away with something that is so.
It's working.
It works.
Yeah, if it works.
I mean, we're talking about 90 days essentially, $21,000 in payouts, less than a couple $1,000s away from another payout. So I mean, you're talking about $7,000 a month.
All trading gold.
All trading gold. For less than 2 hours a day, so it's funny.
That's your hook right there.
It's funny. So,
what's up, guys? Welcome back to another podcast episode. Today, I am joined by a fellow trader and a friend, James Kirklin III. Good to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate you for inviting me.
Yeah. So James, you are new to the social media side of trading.
Yeah.
Not necessarily new to social media, because you do a number of things that we're going to talk about in today's episode. But give me and the audience just a little bit of a rundown about you, what you do, and how you got into markets.
Gotcha. So James Kirklin III, like Nick mentioned, been trading since August of 2019, so coming up on 6 years now. Got into it while I was playing college baseball over at Jacksonville State in Alabama. You know how it goes. You dibble and dabble, but I didn't start to really lock in until after school. And that's just kind of how it goes when you're balancing sports, college, and everything in between. But got right into both real estate sales and really homed in on trading as soon as I graduated in 2021.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Hey traders, I wanted to take a second to interrupt the podcast, but for a good reason. I wanted to tell you about a really special offer going on right now with today's video sponsor, Maven. Maven is a very popular prop firm in the trading space, and they are so for a reason. They offer some of the best industry prices by far, and they also offer fast payouts. With Maven, you could pretty much trade anything you want to an extent. They offer CFDs, Forex, indices, commodities, all sorts of different things under their one prop firm. So whether you trade gold, indices, commodities, etc., check them out down below in the description. Check out Maven. We'll leave a link in the description to where you can take advantage of these low prices while they are available. Thanks again to Maven for sponsoring this video. Now back to the podcast. So I mean, you and I, we've known each other, our wives now, recently married.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to the wedding. It was a heck of a time.
Okay, sounds good.
So you recently married. Our wives knew each other before we knew each other.
Right.
But actually, this is a bit of a flex. Before you and I met in person, you told your wife, who told my wife, hey, I know that guy.
Yeah.
Because, which is kind of crazy, because I never get recognized anywhere. So I was like, what? It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I guess the Forex space is not that big. So you actually started in Forex side of things, right?
Yeah, so I started in Forex not knowing what I was doing, but I started it, and then all of a sudden a friend of mine introduced me to Raja Banks.
Yeah.
And that was all she wrote.
Yep.
That was all she wrote.
And you stuck with those live streams. You watched them for a while.
I watched him until he pretty much stopped. When you start growing, it's hard to consistently do that every single day. But man, I was a trooper every single day at 7:30 a.m., which is 6:30 over in Central Time when I was in Alabama. I was watching him every day.
Yeah, so you've got a very interesting story that I think the biggest thing in terms of the value that we can offer to the audience listening is that I think that for many people, you have a really from the ground up story.
Yeah.
Specifically, what I'm talking about there is that, a lot of people, everybody kind of wants to I want to trade for a living and live that high life of being on the beach and making, tons of money really quickly. But what I love about your story, and we've talked back and forth, so I know James pretty well. We've hung out a lot. You have a background in, trying different things and grinding it out.
Right.
And I think that your story as a real estate agent, I think that really, in a lot of ways, resonates with a lot of people who might be listening, because most people, practically who are listening, who are like, I'm trying to learn to trade. I love trading. I love learning about the markets. They have some other path that they're also doing, right? Because unless you have millions of dollars to your name, trading takes money to make money.
Of course.
So it's a bit of a grind. I think that, why I was so excited to have you come on the podcast is because you have that story, that take that is very authentic, where it's like, okay, I am figuring out trading, but I'm also doing this other craft.
Of course.
So tell me just a little bit about, you got into trading in 2019, you dabbled, but tell me about kind of your, what got you into trading and just in general, your path to what you do now, in combination with what you do with real estate. Because you hustle in multiple fashions.
It's a hustle. So much like many people, I started with multi-level marketing, that side of things.
Yep.
But then even though it's so much bad going on. You see a few people making actual money, and that's what I honed in on. I saw people making $1,000 a day, and I'm like, oh wow, that I don't know anyone that's doing that. So I saw a few people making 1,000 a day, a few people making a few hundreds a day, and that got my wheels turning. I tell people, I remember my first trade, I made $7 in the span of a few minutes, and I was hooked. You know how that goes, the winner's luck or whatever, beginner's luck. So there you go with that. Like you said, it's really just been a hustle. But one thing I've come to realize is that when you have multiple streams of income, that's when you take the pressure off of making so much money trading. And I think that, like you kind of alluded to, people find me relatable. I'm not over here posting that I make $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a day. I might make 500. I might make 1,000. I can lose 500. I can lose 1,000. But I think that I've been consistent in showing my results and saying like, hey guys, I'm not gonna lie, it took me a lot to get to this point. But now I can sit on the charts for 30 minutes a day and be done and go on to real estate. You know?
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I think that is so important for people to hear, because a lot of times by the time people see some person on social media, like you mentioned, finding Roger Banks or whoever, you know, they've kind of like, they have gone through the mud to get to the point where they're doing really well for themselves through the markets. The markets are a great way to, in my opinion, my stance on it has always been, markets are a great way to scale up money that you've been saving and building that, you know, nest egg over time. But a lot of people really struggle because they're constantly trading with a tiny trading account and they're trying to turn that thing into a tangible amount. But what I like about your story is you've leaned into multiple hustles with kind of the goal of kind of always coming back to trading to some extent. Like it's always a part of what you're doing. It's in the loop, but it's not like your only thing.
I look at trading as a vehicle more than anything. It allows us to do things that really you wouldn't even imagine. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where I just made $500. You know, like that's a lot of money to make in 15, 20 minutes. Like, and it's ridiculous, but you can do it. And I think when you scale it way back, because like you kind of mentioned, I mean, we see the guys making 30,000 a day, 50,000 in one trade, 100,000 in one trade. What would $500 do for you right now? And what would $50 do for you right now? And like you mentioned, it's all just scalability. The same trade I took on my $1,000 account is the same trade someone took on a $100,000 account. We took the same 34 points and made, you know, but it's all just about how much you had in the account.
Exactly right. And, you know, as someone who I've been doing this for I think I really first started into markets like 2017, 2016. And I have seen that progression personally. I've gone from making, you know, like you said, $7. I think literally mine was like $4. I made like $4 on a currency trade, and I was like, this is so cool.
It's so easy.
And you know, and it is a very strange concept, because you're like, I didn't actually get up and do anything. I just punched a trade, and it seems so easy when you first get into it. Like you're like, oh, I just got to buy it at the right time or sell it at the right time, and then take a profit at the right time. It seems easy.
Doesn't it seem so easy? Like price can only go to one of two ways, up or down. But people say 95% of people, but I think it's more than that.
I think so too.
I really think it's more than that. I think the mental behind it is so tough. The mental behind it is so tough, and that's why I've been kind of thinking about my journey, I realized how much time is needed in the interim, but then how little time is technically needed once you get to where you feel like you're comfortable. Because in my case, and I'm a scalper, we'll get into that, I think that more time in the markets actually equates to less profits. It's not like a job where the more I go, the more money I make. I think the more I put myself at risk, I actually am kind of working against myself. I'm cool with, like Roger said, since 2019, 1 or 2 trades a day.
What's actually interesting is you say that, and in some ways, it's the same way for me, but I'm a swing trader. Like I hold trades for days to weeks, and the big thing that I've found is that if I overdo anything, it typically works against me. Like if I try and like double up, like if I'm like, okay, well, I just got to find more trade setups and I'll make more money. It actually doesn't work like that. It's really like, okay, my setup shows up, I take that trade when it's there. But any more than that, I actually start to erode away like the progress. So I guess that's the next part. You mentioned you're primarily focused on the shorter time frames. And I know just from our past conversations, you love gold. And
that's all I trade.
Guess what? The audience does too. They're huge fans of gold. You now trade gold futures.
GC.
Tell us a little bit why. Why gold? Why have you stayed so consistent with gold? And tell us just a little bit about your style of trading.
So gold, much like I mentioned, Roger trades it. I trade it. I'm kind of the follow the blueprint. I don't have to reinvent the wheel.
I love that.
Like I see someone being successful in it. I don't see the need to go and try to find my own path when the path has been laid. So to get into a bit of my strategy, yes, I execute and don't hold for any more than usually 5 to 10 minutes, but I do start on the daily. I start on the daily. I work my way down to the 4 hour, 1 hour, 30 minute, 15 minute, and I usually execute off the 5. But my confirmations lie mostly on the 30 minute and the 1 hour. I have 3 setups: breakout, fake out, and break of daily high or low.
Okay.
So I would like to say that I'm a volume trader more than anything. I think that volume arises at 8 a.m., 8:20 a.m., 8:30 a.m., and 9:30.
Yep.
So 8 a.m. is New York Open, 8:20 is Comex Open, 8:30 is when you see a lot of high impact news, and 9:30 is the New York Stock Exchange Open.
Yep.
So you'll see a lot of volume around those times. And man, if I see my setup around those times, I know that if I see a 50, I call it pip still. I call it whatever. If I see a 50, 60 pip range, you cannot tell me that I can't feel half of that.
Yeah.
75% of that.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'll start on the daily to get direction of kind of where I expect price to go to based on the previous daily candle. 4 hour, it's fine. I don't really put too much stock into it as far as my analysis. But the 1 hour, I love, like I said, breakouts, fake outs, and break of daily high or low considering. So if I see a range and I see a support, I see a resistance, I'm simply waiting on the candle to break above and close, or break below and close. I want the next candle to wick up to retest said broken support, or wick down to retest said broken resistance. And if I get the candle to break the previous candle's high, I'm just trying to trade from zone to zone. I will identify the next zone that I anticipate price to go into. I don't need to catch the whole move. Base hits, consistent base hits. And from my data, I see that in a 5-minute candle during a time of volume, I can catch about 30 pips usually, 25 to 40 pips.
Awesome. So when you talk about, and I love that, the multiple time frame kind of analysis, starting higher, moving lower, and then executing on the lower time frames. When you talk about daily direction, I assume what you're saying is you said looking at the previous daily candle. So if you're talking about like, what if you get, so I imagine clearly like if you've got like a really strong bullish candle the day before, you're leaning towards bullish setups or leaning towards reversals?
I am leaning towards bullish setups. Okay. So it's kind of funny. Yes, I'm a scalper, but if you look at, and you would know, of course, if you look at price action on the daily time frame, it really follows suit. Whether that played out at 8:30 a.m. or whether that played out at 3 p.m. If I see a daily bullish candle that closed very strong, and that next daily candle comes and wicks down, I could have caught that sell because I'm a scalper. Sure. But all that was a daily wick down to continue up on the higher time frames.
Yeah.
You know?
Very cool. And so again, you're using all the way from the daily down to the 5-minute. You're looking for momentum. You're looking for high of day breaks, which I think is
those are great.
Those are big.
Those are great.
Those are, you can get some really nice moves, some follow through off of.
For sure. Especially like a 9:30 day break of daily high. Yeah. When the daily was bullish, you're talking about one of those things where you're catching 30, 40 in the span of 20 seconds.
So what about, let's say you get a big green day.
Okay.
The previous day. But prior to that, you had like a week of down days. Would that change any of your calculus in terms of like, okay, we're trending down on like maybe the weekly chart almost,
right?
But then you get like on the previous day a strong bullish move. Are you still looking for bullish setups, or would that change anything?
Well, I am a believer of what goes down must come up and vice versa. So I do like to think that if I got a very strong bullish reversal candle almost, once again, I'm only holding for 25, 30 pips. You know what I'm saying? Sure. So I can catch something very small. Maybe that's the wick fill on the daily. Maybe that's the break of the previous daily high, tapping into a support that was made 2-3 months back. It's always a zone that I go and identify of where price came from, because I think price is just a repetition of itself. It's the same thing over and over, especially as a scalper. When I label a support or a resistance, I can go back 3 months and I can see that same support being held on the 1 hour time frame.
I've seen in fact, maybe what we'll do is in the post edit, I'll show some screenshots of your charts, because I've watched you're really good with drawing up all your different levels and marking, and then the colors that you use, are those also time frame specific?
No, not really. So it's funny, someone will look at my chart and they'll be like, this is too simple. I have 6 lines. one purple line, or two purple lines,
Yes.
two gold lines, and two green lines. The purple lines are my resistance and support, and then my first target, long target, long target.
Got
It's
it.
as simple as that.
Okay,
It's
okay.
not rocket science. It's literally where I'm expecting price to go first, where I'm expecting price to go at the end of the day. Knowing me, I won't hold that long anyway.
Yeah.
But if I were to miss that initial push, I'll just now look for a sell or a buy above or below those lines now.
I like it. And simple, all the different people that I've interviewed in the trading space over time, what I find to be a common theme amongst the ones that that really know their stuff, simple is just better.
Keep it simple.
Like it's
Keep
really
it simple.
truly it is so tempting, especially like new traders who fill their screens with all sorts of different indicators and entry criteria and 74 different rules to take a
Right.
trade, and it is very very much so just back to the basics, keep it really simple.
Of course.
Like a high of day break is something that anybody can kind of spot, and that's the point.
And when you keep seeing it over and over, I
Yeah.
mean, you see at 9:34 that price is about to break that daily high, and you have a 20-ish pip stop off of the 5-minute that's breaking it. I'm taking that every time.
Yeah.
I'll get out on the break. I'll get out if it comes back down. That just was the luck of the draw at that minute.
Yep.
But at that time, I will take that because I know that my data says that it's a 70 to 80% chance that it'll play out.
And so when you say base hits, what are you thinking? So like do you use a 1-to-1 risk reward? Do you use a tight stop, mental stops? What do you do to manage winners? Like how are you taking a winner and how are you taking a loser?
So I'm going to tell you this, Nick. I think that prop firms actually conditioned me not so negatively, but it might take away from some of my winners that could be larger, but it consistently gives me wins.
Yeah.
So with a few of these prop firms, there are what you call trailing drawdowns. So I remember back in the day, I used to be up $500. It'd come back to break even. Now my trailing drawdown has moved up $500.
Yes.
So it consistently made me kind of take base hits.
Interesting.
So, I mean, honestly, I can have a negative risk reward and be fine with it because of my win rate. And I think that a lot of traders get so hung up on things that don't matter.
So
I don't
true.
go in anticipating. I do protect my downside, of course. I'm never going to just throw a 10 lot and, with a 30-point stop and have a 15-point, that's stupid.
Yeah.
But I do think that if you had a 40 pip stop and you're up 32, I don't think there's anything wrong with that if, you feel like that was a good trade. Because I think I heard Wakar is his name. He said that when you get to thinking about it, risk reward fluctuates while you're in the trade even.
Yeah.
So if you essentially go up 15 to 20 pips and your stop loss gets hit at 40, you just now risk 60 when all you wanted was 10 more or 15 more.
That's
So
a good
did that
point.
really make sense?
Yeah.
You have to find something that works for you. So what has been working for me has been those base hits of a consistent 25, 30, 35 pips, closing my charts, going on about my day.
Yeah.
And it adds up because
It
I don't take
does.
too many losses that are much larger than, like yesterday, I took one win, took one loss. My win was 31. My loss was 17. Called it a day.
And that's the thing is, when it comes to risk reward, there's so many kind of like themes or ideas that you hear thrown around in the trading space. But at the end of the day, win rate and risk reward are something that kind of they move like this. One
Right.
goes up, the other goes down, and vice versa. So what I mean by that is that if you are somebody who has a very high win rate, most likely you're just taking, like you're saying, base hits.
hits.
You're not going for the home run hit.
Right.
Whereas if you're somebody who does like to go for the home run hits, which I kind of lean more in that
Right.
direction, I like going for really big moves, and it's infrequent that I actually get them. So I
Right.
take a very low win rate in
Exactly.
exchange. There's pros and cons to everything. So I think that a lot of times you'll hear like, oh, you should be trading with a 3-to-1 risk reward. You should be risking 1% per trade. There's all these like
I would
ideas.
take a lot of losses if I were doing that.
See, that's what I'm saying is at the end of the day, it's like, those ideas are far less important than your actual just expectancy. Like at the
Exactly.
end of the day, if you are trading, what's your dollarly rate in
Yes.
trading?
Yes.
Over time, if you're taking trades, are you making more than you're losing? That's all that matters. It doesn't matter
Exactly.
if your risk reward is a 0.5 to 1 risk reward, where you're just capitalizing, taking profits where you can, and moving on to the next
Exactly.
thing. At the end of the day, it is only about, do you make more than you lose at the end of the day?
And what has really helped me this year, I got onto the trade journals this year, starting in January. And of course, this has been my best year trading.
Yeah,
I realized that when Thursdays are a bad day for me, I think I've exhausted my mental capital by that day, so I need that day as a reset, which is why I said today would be a great day.
It worked
So
out.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm great. I've had 3 straight winning days this week. Then I take a day off, come back Friday, low risk. Because I think it's hard to put into perspective of how much you can start making. And then when you take a step back, you're like, man, some people would kill to make this in a week, a month. So it kind of just centers you a little bit. So when I have 3 straight just beautiful days, I take Thursday as a day of really gratitude and catching up on the real estate side of things, you know, because that can kind of lose track a little bit when you're so honed in on teaching and, and analyzing and everything in between.
Yeah, so you now have, at this point, you have 3 hustles.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that, because you're doing the real estate side of things, which I want to hear a little bit about or share with the audience a little bit about. You're doing the trading education side, and you're doing, of course, your own trading.
Yeah.
How are you balancing all of that? And for somebody, most importantly, someone in the audience, right? The point of the podcast is to share it with others.
Right.
How are you sort of balancing all of that hustle at once? For people who are like, okay, I want to up my hustle game. I want to loop trading into what else I'm doing and improve, in multiple facets. How are you managing all of it at once?
So I think that when you first get started, everyone gets sold on this idea of full-time trader, whatever that means. And I don't think that's 1, reasonable, 2, realistic, or 3, even anything you want to do.
Yeah.
Me, I've shortened my trading to a window. So I usually get home from the gym around 8 to 8:15. I usually take a little quick breather, start the live stream up around 8:20, 8:25, and I'm on at 8:30. If I catch a move in 30 minutes, that's my day.
There you go.
That's as simple as that. But I'll stay on till about 10:30 max. And if I haven't called anything from 8:30 to 10:30, I'm usually okay with calling it a day, because the last thing I would want to do is wait until 10:45 to take a loss.
Sure.
I don't think that makes a lot of sense. When you can just wrap it up and say 9 times out of 10, I'm going to catch my move 8:15, 8:30, 9:30, etc. So there's that part. Take a little bit of a breather, and then I am on to real estate. Real estate is, like you said, something that I've really been hustling out. I started that in 2021, like I said, when I graduated from college, or no, it's 2022 now. So I graduated in 2021, got my license in January 2022, and just been hustling since. My first 8 months in real estate, I didn't sell a single house, and on month 8, I sold 4.
That's awesome.
And it's kind of like, it kind of coincides with trading.
Yeah.
I think you just keep cracking at the rock, and then eventually you just find your breakthrough. So this year has been what's going to be my best year in real estate, and it kind of coincides once again with best year in trading.
Yeah.
I've already sold now 9 houses. My 10th will close on Monday.
That's awesome.
My goal for this year was 15. So it looks like I'm going to blow that out of the water.
Aren't the stats like most people don't even sell one a year?
40,
or something like
I
that?
looked at it today because someone actually asked me. 47% of realtors didn't sell 1 house last year.
Wow. Good for you, man.
Yeah.
That is
tough.
honestly so
It's tough. It's
so
tough.
impressive. I mean, but that's the grind, right? It's like at anything that you do. I think a lot of times people are like, how can I want to make extra income from trading and I want to do all these things. But a lot of people don't truly want to put in what it takes to do that.
It looks good.
I know you are hustling in order to do all this stuff at once.
It looks good, but I mean, it does take the long nights. It does take the extra time. It does take taking those calls you don't want to take.
Yep.
But I mean, and to the last point, I didn't finish. We got the education piece.
Yes.
That's been something. So I went on Calvin's podcast, the Forex Beginner podcast, and that was a lot of fun. And he was like, people are going to want you to start a course. And I was like, dude, I'm not teaching people how to count a pip.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not teaching people how to do that. But you know what it's done for me? It's made me a better trader.
Because you're back to the basics.
You're back to the basics.
Building it all up again.
You're teaching people from ground zero.
Yes.
And I told my group a couple days ago, I was like, it's a sense of accountability I feel when people are actually following my lead. And like I said, it's really made me like, even when we're on the stream, maybe I would have taken that when no one's watching me.
Yeah.
But now it's like, it's a B- setup, but it's not my A+ setup. So I'm good. Y'all can take it if that's what you feel, but I'm going to tell you why I'm not. I see a support right here, a little too close for me. You know what I'm saying? Just little stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I started the group in April. I've had one losing week since then.
That's great.
Like it's just been every day, just one trade a day. Just that's it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's it. Does that make sense? And like you said, you kind of see me on Instagram just breaking it down. This is what I was looking at. I was targeting this area. Simple as that. Calling it a day. 9:15 a.m.
That's awesome.
Simple as that. So it all runs together. It feels like, but it feels right.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, with trading in front of people, it is way harder than it looks because you get the stress of people being like, and I'm sure that, as if you've not really had a huge drawdown in front of people yet, unfortunately it will happen and it sucks.
Yeah.
And actually in 2022, I went through a terrible drawdown, in front of my audience on YouTube. And
right.
I live stream too. So I'm going on and that's challenging. But to your point, the pro of doing it, the accountability is incredible.
It is.
Because then you're really truly being like, okay, I can't make any sort of dumb mistakes because I'm leading by example here.
Exactly.
People are like, hey, what is Nick doing? What is James doing? Why are they doing it?
Of course.
And you've got to be taking trades that you can actually defend if someone asks you about
exactly. Because, I always tell people trading is very discretionary, in my opinion. People always ask me, like, well, why do you put your stop loss there? Or where is your stop? I'm like, you can't, technically it's supposed to go under the previous 30-minute low because until that gets broken, this can flip at any point. Yeah. But I'm not going to do that because that's 80 pips away on a very volatile day.
Sure.
So I'll get in and put it under the 5-minute candle. I'll say if we break this high, we have no reason to come back down and break this low with the way I trade. Yep. But the technical way of trading is put it on the previous 30-minute low, put it on the previous hourly low.
Yeah.
But so once again, whatever works for you, you kind of have to live with that. But I know if I'm only catching 25 to 30, I know that I have no reason to put it negative 80. So
yeah,
I'm not sitting and hoping. Hope is not a strategy. I'm not going to hope that it goes negative 60 before turning back around on me.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, in terms of your time frame, specifically trading down on the 5-minute chart, a lot of people, the challenge of scalping is that there's a lot of noise that can go into,
it is.
Moves can like fake you out. And you talked about actually trading as specifically a fake out entry. Yeah. I didn't talk too much about that. Tell me just a little bit about like that fake out on the 5-minute chart strategy that you're interested in.
So mostly, and funny enough, I actually will find the fake outs mostly on the 30-minute and the 15. The 30-minute is a stronger confirmation to me than the 15 because the 15 and even the 30, but more so the 15 can simply just be a wick up to continue down or a wick down to continue up. But when I say have a very bearish day and say we find a support to the left that we close under, if a 30-minute candle closes back above that support, I do anticipate just how price made a support there and went up. I anticipate that price can at least give me a base hit.
Got it.
In that direction of a reversal. It's
gotcha.
I'm not there for a long time. I'll say that to my group. I'll say, hey guys, this is a counter trend trade. I'm not looking to hold very long, especially when price has been really, 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 really pushing down. But when you see the volume that gold has, what goes up must come down and vice versa, even if it's a little bit. And I think that I don't want to get too over people's heads here, but when you start thinking about, okay, this 4-hour candle is about to close, this next pullback this next candle can be the pullback. That could be the entry that I have because I'm expecting a top wick on this candle, even though the previous 4-hour candle just closed below said support. It's a lot of things that go into it, but you just see it over and over, and it's clear as day to me.
Yep.
But someone say, this candle just closed very bearish. Why on earth would he be looking for a buy? I know that 90% of candles have top and bottom wicks. I'm trying to catch the top wick on that next candle.
Gotcha.
So it's one of those things of I've seen it over and over. I've seen it, and it just kind of makes sense to me. 9:30 candle closes back above. I know that, boom, I'm expecting, even though the 1 hour just closed bearish, a 30-minute candle closed bullish, we're just trying to catch the top wick. It's gonna come down. We know it will, but I'm just trying to catch my piece of the pie.
And specifically, you have that affinity to trading gold. You're so used to it. You know it. You sort of learn the mechanisms, the way a specific chart behaves, right?
Yeah.
Like charts do have, it's weird because you're like talking about a chart,
right?
But charts have behaviors to them. They have personality to them.
Of course.
I trade a lot of the Nasdaq. I trade a basket of different things, but gold is one that I trade a lot too. It has a personality to it. There's a little bit of repeatability to it. Another question for you, because again, going back to kind of the hustle, the journey process that you're going, you do a mix of personal account trading and prop trading. Is that right?
That's correct.
So tell me a little bit about 2025. You said it's been going well for you this year.
Great.
Tell me a little bit about how things are going on for 2025 overall. Give me some details there. And then also tell me a little bit about that prop firm versus personal account journey that you're on.
So this year to date, I looked before I came. I made $28,790. Wow. Across my accounts.
Good for you, man.
And it's funny because I was actually against prop firms, but as we spoke about 2 years ago now, maybe even 3, if it works for you and if you have the mental capital to do it, it's uncomparable.
So going back to the stats this year so far, is that across your prop firm payouts plus personal account kind of dynamic?
So at the end of last year, I was banned from one of the prop firms because I was so profitable.
You know, that's like when you get banned from the casino. That's a flex.
It is. So I was banned from one of the prop firms due to my profitability. And I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Forget prop firms, yada, yada, yada. But then I crossed over into this year and I said, I don't know if I won't name it, but I crossed over into one this year and I said, let me try this out.
Yeah.
I have withdrawn as of yesterday, got to pay out yesterday, $21,000 from a $1,200 investment.
Dude. Good for you.
And still have the accounts.
That's so awesome.
This is day 89.
I was going to say, it's July right now.
Yeah.
So you're still young.
Yeah.
You're also doing house, real estate work.
Yeah.
You're now doing the education side of things.
Yep.
So you're staying busy. You're doing really well. Good for you,
My
man.
goal this year was to make $50,000 in trading profits. And it's so funny because to someone that might not be a lot, but to someone else that's like, dude, I wish I could break even right now.
Well, $50,000 on top of
on top. So
what you're doing.
The most viral clip that I had when I did Calvin's podcast was, and it's just extra, and that's how I started to look at it. Yeah. So I trade fairly small on my personal account. Yeah. I just trade one.
So you do prop firm side of things, and that's actually the majority of what you do.
Yeah.
And then you also have a personal.
So I trade very low risk on my personal because I started this year off just trading personal, and I couldn't deal with the mental of seeing too big of numbers with my personal funds. I'm sure I'll get there. And the more I continue to scale with these prop firms, because I've done pretty well with that.
That's
and
great.
It allows you to just funnel that straight into a personal account. But I mean, looking at negative $3,000, it's not fun.
That's not fun.
But then when you put into a simulated environment, it's $300.
Well,
it's $400.
And you know what I found too is watching prop firms, because when I first got into this stuff, prop firms weren't really big.
Right.
So they came later on. And what I've found now in 2025 is that there's a lot of people who are like really figuring out that hustle. Like they're figuring out because it is different.
It's very different.
You know, the style of trading on a personal account.
It's gamified.
Yes.
It's gamified in my opinion. So I'll even give you an example. On Tuesday, I traded a 2 on my prop firm account. I traded a 1 on my personal account, obviously. So I made 36 pips. 360 on my personal, 720 on my prop account. I was so much more happy about the personal 360. I'm like, $360?
Yes.
It was 19 seconds. A quick break of the daily low, that quick. So I just look at it as I can risk a little more on prop firms. Because people get so fixated on the loss. I'm like, dude, think about what you actually invested into it. So I caught a crazy discount when I bought my 3 150K accounts, and I paid $400, $400, and $400. So I paid $1,200, like I said, to make $21,000.
Yeah.
Anything is just extra at this point.
You know, prop firms. Have you ever traded or looked into options at all?
Not at all.
So in options world, you can buy a call or buy a put on a stock or gold or anything. You can essentially you can make a small bet for the potential of making a lot of money times your initial investment. Basically, if I bought a call on gold and it skyrocketed, I risk, a couple $100. I could make a couple thousand if it was a really good move. The reason I bring that up is that prop firms, to me, are sort of like a call option on, or a big, a sort of a low entry fee, potential big risk or potential big move for a small initial risk.
Yeah.
That's kind of what prop firms do offer. Now, there is some added in exchange for what you talked about, where I'm only in it for this, but I'm making X times
you
this.
Follow their rules.
Yes, there's some downsides of they've got restrictions, they've got rules. And in your case, You got kicked off for and that is real, guys. If you
Yeah,
think about like some
yeah.
of the prop firms, they do not want to pay you out.
Yeah.
They do not want to A book you ever, right?
Right.
If you're familiar with the A book, B book stuff,
Yeah.
right? They don't want to put you on a live trading platform at all. So they'll just kick you off. But you found one that's now you're working and they're quite reputable. So yep. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, and it's funny because one of the ones that I guess you can say went down a couple years back, I used to really follow their stats. I used to do stats meetings. They say 2% of people make it to payouts on prop firms. And I think those are the more realistic numbers. They say 95 and 5.
Yeah.
I think it's 98 and 2 is a bit closer.
Yeah. Well, and I bet you even within that 2, there's probably half of them
that get 2,
can
3.
do it for a little bit but can't stay with it.
Like I said, so I'm on day 89 today with the same 3 accounts that I started.
That's awesome.
And just very consistent. I've had maybe, I wouldn't even call it tilt because obviously I didn't blow the account. I've had maybe one day where I lost way too much and I should have lost, but it's a prop firm. It comes back around.
So you fit the model. I got to say, you fit the model of like so many of our audience, what they want to achieve in their trading.
Yeah.
So many people want to trade gold.
Yeah.
So many people want to trade the low time frames.
Yeah.
And so many people want to be a rock star on a prop firm. So tell me in as simple as you can, you mentioned morphing your system slightly to optimize for prop firms. Tell me a little bit about that, because you talked about, okay, I'm after base hits. I'm keeping an eye on trailing drawdown if it exists.
Right.
I'm keeping an eye. Like, what are some of the top tips for people who want to do that too?
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
You can put me on the spot here, Nick.
I know. I come with the questions.
Yeah, okay. I think honestly, protecting your downside is very, very important. When you find a system, because a system is the most important thing that you can curate. When you find a system that's profitable, you just can't lose too big because there is the consistency rules and there's, the minimum days of profit and stuff like that. But if you can consistently keep your winners small and consistently keep your winners the same, because Raja, once again, I'm going to be a Raja stan, he says you can't really control your winners. You don't know how far price is going to run.
Right.
It might run 70 pips. It might run 80 pips. It might get right to 20 and then reverse on you. But if you consistently can find that number where you're like, I like this number. Let me take this 28. I like this area. Let me take 32. But you lose 25. You lose 20. You don't lose for another 3-4 days.
Yeah.
It's minimal risk and it's minimal time spent, I think. I think more time really equates to downside because when you think about it, if you're trading the correct lot sizes and you only want to make a certain amount, you can't even trade over a certain amount if you want to keep your consistency the same.
Yeah.
Because I think with the one I trade with, it's a 20% consistency. So say my target is 7,500 on the 150K. That means I can't even make over 1,500 in one day on that account.
Yeah.
So there's no point in me even maxing out. If I throw a 3 or a 4 for 30, 40 points, okay, cool. I just made 900, 1,200 bucks. Why would I take another trade?
Yeah.
So protecting the downside, realizing your system, and kind of curating it to trading prop firms, taking your base hits.
Yeah.
Because you can nickel and dime your way to payouts, but even when you look at the pros, I'd like to call it in the prop space, it's high risk, high reward for them.
Yeah.
They know that it's no point, in my opinion, on props, there's no point in taking weeks and months to get to a singular payout, and I might get a little flack for this because you can take all that time, blow the account, and you didn't get anything.
See, that's what's so interesting, and that's the stuff I think people want to hear is the prop firm style. Like, I am a true believer of the slow and steady, but I trade personal accounts.
In the personal account, yeah, it is.
It's a little different.
So me, like I said to you, I trade 1 lots on my personal.
Yep.
I'm cool with taking $250 and acting like it doesn't matter. I'm cool with losing $250 and acting like it doesn't matter. But if my target on the 150K account is $7,500, it's going to be hard pressed for me to $200 my way there, $250, then losing $300. So make $200.
So you're looking at primarily trading. You trade one thing. You've gotten really, really intimate with trading gold over and over.
Over and over.
You have the same set of setups that you know really, really well. You're staying systematic with your approach. You're staying uniform with your trade setup and size.
Protect the downside.
Protecting the downside. These are things for the audience listeners, like, be taking notes because I'm telling you, I can't tell you how often in our community the gold scalpers are like, there's so many of them.
Yeah.
But so many of them are struggling to get anywhere with prop firms. Because most people nowadays, that's like the thing to do is figure out prop firms.
Right.
But I think maybe one of the challenges to it is the concept of so many people. There's so many tips and tricks out there for trading personal accounts. But the style, the strategy behind prop firms is a very unique one.
I think these prop firms have kept us a little more honest these days as compared to what it used to be. I unfortunately missed that wave. I wasn't profitable back then.
Yeah.
But it used to be where you used to be able to pass the account by making 8 or 10%, pass the account by making 4 or 5% on phase 2, and then you can go balls to the wall and not take a single trade until day 30
Yeah.
until you got paid out.
Yep.
Well, imagine if you had 3, 4, 5 accounts that you were doing that, just repeating the same cycle. But now it's consistency.
Yep.
Now it's minimum days. Now it is you have to hold for a certain amount of time. It's so many little rules. So I think also finding a prop firm that fits your style is also another good trick, because you got some people that couldn't deal with trailing drawdown. It would be hard for you to deal with trailing drawdown.
Yes, it would.
You'd be but for me, I know that if I get in profit 25, 30, I'm not coming back to zero on a 3 lot. So if I got in profit 30 on a 3, that means I'm up $900.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come back to zero when my trailing drawdown is only 4,000.
Yeah.
That wouldn't make sense. Now I just essentially took a loss on the trailing drawdown.
I think that's another thing too that's really, really key for traders who are interested in prop firms is really make sure that you have your set style and it works for you within the prop firm that you're at.
Of course.
For everybody, take a close look at your style and actually
Right.
make sure that it marries up nicely with the prop firm or brokerage that you're looking to do that with.
Right.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to fit a circle in a square hole, it's not going to work, right?
course.
It's just not, those two things aren't going to align. So prop firms have their specific rules. You got to make sure that your style suits that
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah, it's funny. I was against prop firms and I was against starting a community. Here I am.
Well,
we adjust.
That's the thing is there's no right or wrong.
Right.
There's plenty of ways to mess things up and to treat prop firms inappropriately. But one of the biggest positive things that I've seen in the prop firm space is kind of what you alluded to earlier, which is they have made a lot of traders more honest because they have to, otherwise they're going to lose their challenge.
Exactly.
Right? So like certain daily drawdowns or certain things, like those are things that you should probably employ most of them in your
Exactly.
personal account to some extent. Like
Exactly.
maybe not every single rule getting super nitpicky, but generally speaking, keeping risk small relative to what you're looking to get out of the market.
Can't make too much in a day.
Can't make too much in them or lose too much in
a day.
Yeah, like these rule sets are in some ways, even if you walk away from prop firms someday, the you being the audience. Like if anybody walks away from prop firms, at least maybe they'll be like, hey, you know what? I learned a lot of things.
I was successful doing this. Let me continue.
Exactly. So overall, James, you're balancing all these things. You are kind of going the direction of multiple things at once: real estate, trading, education. Tell me about, generally speaking, your longer term goals in all these areas. Do you want to go bigger and bigger forever in all areas at once? Do you see yourself gravitating one direction to the other? What's your thoughts on it?
So it's interesting in our industry and in real estate alike. I think that people, I'm not going to say in real estate we do call it get out of production, but you'll even see my man, Raja, he trades less.
Yeah.
But he makes more.
Yeah.
And that's what's so nice about our niche is that, hell, if you got $100,000 in an account, it looks a lot different than if you have a $10,000 account. I can take 2 trades a week.
Yeah.
I can take 2 trades a month, depending on how much I have in an account. So it just kind of finding, once again, what works for you, because as we start to have more responsibility, I think we'll have a little less time spent on the charts. That's just how life goes.
Sure.
I mean, so in real estate, I would love to get into team building. I've already started to put that into place. I can't be in a million different places at once.
Yeah.
So I started at delegating, as you call it.
So like handing people leads kind of thing?
Handing people leads.
Gotcha.
I'm asking people to go show houses for me, asking people to host my open houses, stuff like that. It really... We had a mastermind that was a couple weeks back. It was control less, achieve more. So it's funny how when we focus on our 80% rather than the 20% that doesn't make us successful, we grow and we grow exponentially. If we spend so much time focusing on the things that aren't productive, then we kind of put ourselves in a box. So I think that as we start to grow, you can start to delegate more.
Yeah.
So that comes with either you buy back your time or you buy back time to make more money.
Yeah.
So in real estate, like I said, I've started delegating way more. I am interested in growing my following for sure in trading. I think that, like I said, it's kept me honest, but it's really awesome to see people find gratitude and you explaining, I mean, from ground zero of how you've gotten to where you've gotten to. Because I tell my guys every day in the group, guys, I've been doing this for 6 years.
Yeah.
Like, you see what I just made in 17 seconds. It takes 6 years to do.
That's so true.
You know?
It's so true. But people will be like, oh, you know, they just see the final product, right? They don't see the grind and years of study to get to that point.
Yeah.
Just because it's a natural spot, where can people find you if they're interested in you're on YouTube, you're on Instagram.
Yeah.
We'll pop it up on the screen, but what's your handle?
So on Instagram, I'm James Kirklin 3, so JamesKirklin 3. I also have a trading page, James Kirklin 3 Trades, so just throw trades at the end of that. And I also started my own WAP.
Hey, nice.
Yeah. So WAP.com/trading-homes. And then on YouTube, it's James Kirklin 3-Realtor. So I actually kind of mix my trading and my real estate sales business in trading homes. That's my LLC.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a good name.
Thanks.
That's really cool. Yeah, man. That's in so many ways. So many people I think will relate to this because it is sort of the starting from the beginning and working up and scaling up through prop firms. And I guess last question on the prop firm side of things, long term, you've kind of found your groove with prop firms. A lot of people are like, you know what, I want to prop firm trade and then be taking it out of the prop firm and going personal. Are you that mindset too, or are you more like, I'm just going to keep this hustle going in the prop firms as long as I can and taking money out of it?
I was there to the first one you mentioned. I was there of, let me take the money while it's there and then whatever. But now, I mean, I found such a groove in it, and it's hard to get away with something that is so
it's working.
It works.
Yeah, if it works,
we're talking about 90 days essentially, $21,000 in payouts, less than a couple $1,000s away from another payout. So I mean, you're talking about $7,000 a month.
All trading gold
For less than 2 hours a day. So it's funny.
That's your hook right there.
It's funny. So in my little quick description of my course, I have it as learn how to reach profitability in less than 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
So 8:30 to 10:30 is all we trade. And if we get off by 9:30, we get off by 9:30. I caught my one move of the day.
I'll tell you what, you picked the right niche for the trading space. That's the interest for everybody.
Yeah.
Gold scalping.
Hey, man. Hey, exactly. So... yeah, man, it's hard for me to envision me walking away from the prop space right now. If you'd asked me this in January, I'd have said it's a hell of props.
Yeah.
But in April, I said, if I'm willing to risk $1,000 per trade, because I was risking about that, $1,000 a trade on my personal account, I can easily throw $1,200 at 350K accounts with a discount.
But here's the thing. I guess the distinction to make is you are also, though, you're taking payouts. You're getting your money out of which is the middle ground, right? Because you're now. I guess here's another question. So you're taking payouts rather than, or actually, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe do you keep anything? Like, do you keep like compounding?
I max it every time.
So you take it out.
So it's funny. It's funny you say that. So the prop firm to not be mentioned that banned me last year, they actually at the beginning allowed you to take out just about everything but the smallest little buffer. Okay. So you essentially would blow the account as soon as you maximized what you took out. And then they changed their rules to make you have a buffer. So you had to make $2,600 on a $50,000 account to withdraw $500. And that used to blow my mind. I was like, why on earth would I make $2,600 to withdraw $500 of demo money, fake money, whatever you want to call it? Well, same thing kind of happened with the prop firm I trade with now. I had to make $7,500 to withdraw $3,500. I'm like, that's a lot of money to be like. I had to make a lot of demo money.
Yep.
But what it allowed me to do is trade with such a cushion that I didn't mind.
Sure.
You know, like, so I had to make $7,500, so withdraw $3,500. Then on the top of that that's $4,000 that was left, I had to make another $6,000.
Yep.
So I had to make 5%, 4%, and now I got to make 3%.
Sure.
But it leaves the buffer of what you had in there.
Yeah.
Still there. So once I withdrew that $3,500 from the $75,000, then I had $4,000 left.
Got it.
Made $6,000. So I'd withdraw that 3,500 from the 10,182 or whatever it was. Now I have 7,000 left in there. So I'm not worried about blowing my account because I know, okay, I have $7,000 worth of buffer now before I got to make 4. I trust myself that I'm going to make 4,000 before I lose 7.
Right.
So it's kind of been working for me of having that cushion.
Yeah.
And when I used to think it was the worst thing ever, how dare they keep our money from us after we made it? But as I mentioned earlier, it really keeps the good traders honest.
Sure.
Because I think that it's a business model for them too.
Yeah.
It has to be profitable for them too. And they, of course, when they're just letting you take out 90% of what you just made, it's not going to be profitable for them long term.
Right.
But for the trader that's here for a long time, not a good time, I don't mind it. I'll get paid 2 weeks later. Oh well, it is what it is.
Yeah, you're kind of just rolling it up.
Yeah, and I think that one thing that has helped me is keeping the noise in my peripheral. Like, out of sight, out of mind. You kind of got to stay tunnel vision because when you get on Twitter and everything, or X, when you get on X, you'll see so much noise about this prop firm is about to go down and this guy just got caught scamming and this and that and this and that. I've been a what is called a victim of prop firms actually going down on me. I remember one of the biggest prop firms went down right after I got $650,000 worth of funding. I'm thinking I made it. You're talking about making 2% a month. That'd be $12,000, 2%. But I didn't even have the emotional maturity back then to even trade that account.
But do you know what, James? The thing is, there's a lot of people who that moment right there, they would quit trading.
Yeah.
They'd give up.
Yeah.
And you didn't.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the thing is, if you are struggling towards profitability, you're working towards profitability, guess what? This stuff's hard, man. Like you're going to have so many obstacles thrown at you. You're going to get, you're going to run into something sketchy. You're going to have
be banned from a prop firm.
You're going to get banned from a prop firm. I've had bad slippage on a brokerage before. That stinks, right? So that stuff can happen to you, and all you can do is kind of just get up, dust it off, and keep pushing on.
When you put into perspective of how all you have to do is make it to the next day, it kind of alters your mindset a little bit. Every time we've had a terrible day, we got a chance to trade the next day.
Yeah.
So I used to be sick 2 years ago. I used to be in the dark, sitting days just gone, putting my face in the carpet, pissed. Yeah. But then there was another day.
Yep.
So when you kind of get in that mindset of like that, it is what it is mentality, it's like, okay, as long as I made it to the next day, I'm good.
And one of the big perks of, you're talking about being kind of like flat at the end of the day, not holding positions.
Yeah.
That's a big one too, because a lot of times people are like, that's the downside of swing trading is I kind of have to hold on to it. But the way I deal with that is my position sizing is small enough that I'm not like freaking out overnight. I'm
good
like,
or bad.
I'm sleeping well, which is good.
Yeah.
So, you got to be able to find what works kind of within
I couldn't get a minute of sleep if I saw myself up or down.
Well, when you're scalping, that's the thing too, right? Like your size is going to be much bigger,
much larger,
because you're trading kind of these smaller moves.
I can lose $2,000 in 5 minutes.
Now I'd probably lose my mind. Yeah, right. I would lose my mind if I was big position holding that just indefinitely.
That's in life.
and my position size has gotten bigger over time.
Of course.
Relative to the account though, it's still small.
Yeah.
And that's what matters.
Exactly.
It's like finding something that you're comfortable with, because there's listeners who swing trade, there's listeners who day trade, there's scalpers.
But it all comes back to the same foundation.
Yeah.
I mean, it all comes back to your mental. Once you've mastered, and we all will struggle with it from time, like you said, when you went through your drawdown, I'm sure you weren't just, it is what it, like, it's still tough.
Oh, it sucks.
It's tough, you know? I mean, I haven't had too many losses in general just because of my trading style.
Yeah.
But it's not fun.
Yeah.
It's definitely not. I had lost 3 trades in a row a few weeks back. I ended the week positive.
Yeah.
But it's just because my system allowed me to do so.
Yeah.
I didn't go and chase those losses back that day.
Yep.
It's funny, learning when to walk away is just as important as learning when to be in it.
So
there's one of the best pieces of advice I heard is, I'd rather be out wishing I were in than in wishing I were out.
Yep.
And another one is, are you here to make money or are you here to take trades?
Yeah.
Those are both really good ones.
Those are great.
Those are good ones.
I mean, that's the thing is, whatever you do, you have to kind of put checks and balances in what you're doing to keep yourself protected from yourself. That's another big one I've always heard is, put guardrails on yourself with what you're doing.
I mean, even if that's a rule as simple as I'm not taking more than 2 trades in a day.
Yes.
Simple.
Yeah.
You can't lose. You'll never blow an account. Not gonna say never, depending on position size. You'll never blow an account if you only take one trade in a day.
Yeah.
And it's a correct position size.
Yeah.
And it's unlikely you'll do it at 2.
Mm-hmm.
If I take 2 losses in a day, I really probably need to call it a day.
Right.
I really
And that's
need
the
to call
thing
it.
is, for each person, that's why trading is something it's a hands-on sport. You have to get experience in order to get good at it.
Mhm.
It's because that rule might be slightly different from other people.
Right.
There might be certain things that you just jive with more when you're trading, and things that
Right.
you just don't like with trading, and there is preference involved.
Yeah.
You know, I know traders who trade every different way that you could think of. They trade sideways markets, trending markets, high time frames, low time frames, gold, commodities, indices, like everything.
Right.
There are people who are making money and a lot of people losing money in
More.
all of these things, right?
Yeah,
So
way more.
you just got to find your niche, what works for you. You mentioned really resonating and finding that blueprint with watching Raja streams, which is awesome. I think that, you know, for listeners, there's nothing wrong with that, with finding somebody who, hey, they are clearly an expert in what they're doing and learning from them dramatically.
I'm gonna rewind on you a little bit here. In 2021, my last year while I was playing baseball, I bought Raja's course
Oh,
with
really?
probably my last,
Hmm.
close to it.
Yeah.
Probably close to it. And that's when it was $500 one time.
Mm.
And I think it's like $179 a month now.
Mm.
But that investment in myself all the way back then now allows me to make that times 3, 4, 5 in a day.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how I think finding a good mentor really can expedite your process so fast.
Yeah, and especially when you can get that value and that value is still with you today. You could always whip it back open if you wanted
Oh, yeah,
to,
it's
and,
still there.
and, and
Still
you
got
could
the
take a
login.
look. Yeah, so that's the thing is, you know, a lot of people are really scared to invest any time or effort into learning, coaching,
It's
back
hard,
testing.
man. It's hard. I mean, when you think about it, if it were easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah.
And when I think about, it's funny because what people expect to make is funny considering what they won't expect to invest into themselves.
Right.
You know, and it's funny because my course education, I like to call it, is $60 a month, which is $2 a day.
Yeah.
I say if you can't pay $2 a day, then this truly isn't for you.
You probably shouldn't be trading.
It
Yeah,
isn't for
right,
you.
Right.
So it's one of those things where I think that with all the noise that's going on, of course you can go on YouTube and find some videos and some charts moving and think you know what you're doing.
Mhm.
But when you have access to somebody, you can't compare that to anything.
Yeah.
When you have a group of, you know, guys and girls that are really trying, it's a community is so big in this niche that is so niche. You know, it's so small and it feels lonely a bit. You know, when you're like, man, if 100 people were to line up next to me, 2 of us are going to be profitable.
Yeah.
That's
it
a
is
pill to swallow.
a really, really weird one too. I'm sure you've had this too. Is it's weird to look back over time at the many people that I started with, and I am like one of just like 2 or 3 people
Three, yeah,
left.
it's
Like
3
after
for me.
all these years, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like most of those people, they genuinely were interested, but they didn't have, like, when push came to shove, the develop the passion for it. You have to have that, like, true passion for learning charts and markups.
And it's interesting because people look at what we do and they find it so interesting, but it's really not. When you like really
Yeah.
dumb it down of doing the same thing every day,
Yep.
I do the same thing every single day, and I could wait 1 hour for a 20-second setup.
Yeah.
That's not interesting. I watch charts move up and down, consolidate. I caught a breakout at 9:30. I entered at 9:35, was out by 9:38, and that was my day. That's not interesting.
I think
That's
it's-
unbelievable.
I think it's so interesting to people because it's like, that sounds so ridiculous.
Right.
But, you know, until you've actually done it and you realize it's so much harder than it sounds.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that goes into it.
It's like the hardest way to make easy money.
Yeah.
Like, it's so tough, but it's so easy. Like, it's so easy if you stick to your plan, but how will you react when you get punched in the face?
Well, here's one this is also an incredibly complex thing that sounds on paper kind of easy, is the insurance world. If you think about insurance, they sell you protection,
You need.
and they probably don't ever have to do anything on it. And that's the vast
It's
majority of
recurring.
people, and they're just getting paid for something that they never actually have to do anything with.
Right.
As traders, we are ultimately sort of paid to take risk in the market. We are sort of, in some ways,
Yes.
insurance people in the financial system.
That's a good way to look at it. I think about that because it's really made me think about what does this look like long term, because I told even my wife now, there's no way I can sit at that desk every day.
Yeah.
For the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Every day, the way I do now.
Yeah.
And really grind it out because the numbers are just going to keep getting bigger. More responsibility is going to come along. Like, life is just going to happen in general. I can't imagine sitting at that desk when I have a whatever you want to call it account, just throwing that 20 lot every single day. And all right, guys, lost 4 grand. It just is what all right, guys, made 7 grand. Like every single day. It's just you kind of got to find that happy medium when it comes to trading because you'll lose your mind if you don't kind of contain it.
No, it is. It's a bizarre concept to just those numbers get. It's weird though. Over time you scale up and those numbers get bigger, but it is weird how whatever the number is, you kind of get used to.
Right.
That's a very strange thing too, because if I had looked at the numbers that I'm moving today, 10 years ago, I'd be like, nonsense. You're never going to do that. And it's been a very gradual and painful process to grind up. It's been work. It's been a lot of sacrifice, a lot of work.
It blows my mind. It's like, well, I'll just pay for a bill with that. I just pay my mortgage. Like, it's crazy.
Right.
Like, it's legitimately crazy to think about what trading allows us to do. And when you put it into that perspective, you're like, oh man, I only made $150 today. I can take my wife out to eat. But it's so small. Like that's
how it
so
starts.
Small.
That's how it starts, man. I mean, I think like I first had the conscious concept of like, whoa, I just paid a phone bill. And I didn't even get up from my chair today. It was like that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
that's why it's funny. So speaking on that, I think that another piece of advice I would have to people is withdraw from a personal account. It doesn't feel real until you withdraw.
Yeah.
And it might not be once every 2 weeks. It might not be once a month. It might not be once a quarter. But when you get that payout, when you get that money in your bank account, man, it's great.
Yeah,
it's awesome. Like I'm
full
really
circle.
Yeah, for sure. So like when we were leading up to the wedding, I needed 10 grand. Just pulled it out.
That's awesome.
I just pulled it out. Like it was really awesome to be able to really liquidate funds from a personal account because it's there for the taking and you earned it.
Yeah.
You earned it.
No, I mean that's the thing. It is people want so badly to get to that point where they are profitable, consistently profitable, they're making money. It's not it is just not what it looks like because again people think like, okay, I'm going to be a profitable trader in like a year and then I'm going to be pulling 10 grand a month kind of thing, and it's like I wish it was that easy.
I do.
But it really is. You can't look at the final product and the income that final product might be generating from the markets. You can't look at that and be like, that's going to be me soon. If you can make and keep $1 in trading, guess what? You did better than 99% of people did.
I don't know how much you see people's DMs on your trading account, but people DM me some wild stuff. Like, can I be profitable next month? Like, I can do this next month.
How much can I make
I'm like, dude, August 2019.
Yeah, right.
August 2019.
That should be your only response.
Yeah, like August 2019. Didn't
it.
make $1 until like 2023. Made decent money in 2024. Finally making like some more money in 2025.
Yeah.
And then I like to look at my age. I mean, because there's no right or wrong, but I think that a lot of people, especially the younger crowd, is in a rush because of social media.
Yeah.
And when you take a step back, like I'm 26, like I think I'll be okay by 36. So it's kind of one of the things of kind of scaling yourself back. And even if you want to say age within the industry, you've been doing it less than 5-6 years. You've been doing less than 3 years. Slow down, you know, because yes, you have those success stories who did reach profitability in 2-3 years, but man, it took me 4. I don't know how long it took you to really reach your profitability.
2.5 to 3. But here's the thing: is that's the other thing I love to talk about when it comes to this. When I became profitable, my theory when I first got into trading, and you might have felt this way too, I feel like a lot of people do. When I first got in, I was like, oh, consistently profitable means these guys are just like calling the market all the time. And as soon as I reach consistently profitable, it's going to be like I hit the jackpot. Money's just going to be pouring in.
Right.
When in reality, what I found after actually doing the steps to get to the point where I was a profitable trader overall, I realized, oh, consistently profitable just means you're making slightly more than you're losing, and that number is growing just a little bit at first. You're just making little bits of money.
Yeah.
That is consistently profitable.
Of course.
So for everybody who's listening, if you're like, oh, I'm only making like 1 or 2% or 3% per month right now, or I'm making $100, $200, $300 a month right now, do not bully yourself over that. That's great. That's how you scale
think about
up.
scale.
Yes, that's how you scale up.
Exactly.
If you could be anywhere consistently profitable, you can scale that up over time.
For sure.
With more capital. If you go the prop route, there are ways to, you just need to have a model where more money comes out of it than goes into it. That is it.
Something that also worked for me, because you're just digging into the vault now, I wrote down my plan.
Yeah.
When I wrote it down and made it plain, that's kind of where, so writing it down and tracking my trading has really taken me to the next level. Writing it down and saying, like, what do I want out of this? How is my trading style? What works for me? What doesn't? And then tracking my trading. So I saw from January, February, March, I'm not profitable on Thursdays. I'm taking more, and I saw a great move today that when I was peeking in, but I know that what happened one time usually doesn't happen.
Right.
I call those bad profits. I don't want to have bad profits.
That's a great,
So
term for it.
I kind of think that if a trader really wants to take that next step, they have to dig within themselves, because you can watch your stream, my stream, or whoever's stream, and watch those guys all day. But until you really dig within you, you're not going to be profitable, because even guys in my group, they'll say, just blew my account. I'm like, I'm taking every trade with you, every single.
Right.
But what did you do when I got off? What did you do at nighttime? What did you do while I was sleeping? It's the consistency. It's the mental aspect. It's really like your own drive to be disciplined.
It's a big thing too, to be like, when you are watching people on YouTube, that is not the same as. And I say this, we have followings. We appreciate you guys watching us right now and checking out James and all his content. But at the end of the day, do yourself a favor. You can learn from other people, but make sure you get your own time on the charts and you study things. Like there is no supplement, there's no alternative, no substitute for time on the charts and learning things yourself. You can learn, you can pick up a little golden nugget from something James said today. But make sure you actually go test it out yourself. Make sure you go explore it and get that experience for yourself, because that's the only way you really learn.
For sure. I mean, like I keep saying it, you got to put a lot of time in on the front end, but you'd be surprised how little time you can start putting in once you get it. Once you get it, you're just looking at the same thing over and over again, so it might become a little monotonous. But at the beginning, you have to put chart time in. So I used to watch a 1-hour video every single night from the course. Every single night before I went to sleep, just because it becomes ingrained in you. Once you keep seeing it, because he used to do simulations that I used to like, those simulations where he would say, oh, we're going to go back to March 2018 and see what happened then. Okay. And then he would play it out as if the week went on. Okay, we made 20% this week because, and it was just crazy to me. And I was just like, man, seeing the same thing over and over. That's when ranges on gold were 40 pips and then 30 pips, and now it's 300, and price can move 80 pips in 5-minute candles. So we have to just adjust. Like, there's so much adjustability that goes on in the market. But if you have an adjustable system, you can trade any market.
No, it's so true. It's so true. There's so much value that we packed into this one episode, James.
For sure.
We'll have to have you back on, man. This was awesome.
It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
We're both local here in Atlanta, so it worked out.
Who never needs a house, let me know.
Right. There's your plug. So if you use your list of things, check out his YouTube channel, check out him on Instagram. You mentioned those. We'll put those back up on the screen.
Thank you, sir.
And of course, check out his your Discord community as well. Got a little bit of everything.
WAP, trading homes, for sure. So trying to just put my hands in a few different things as I feel like I've earned my size.
There you go.
That's the word.
There you go. Yes, sir. Well, thank you again for your time today, coming on. Appreciate you.
Yep.
I hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and thanks again to our sponsor, Maven Funding. I want to make sure that you take advantage or consider the prices that are being offered currently by Maven, with some of the lowest costs in the industry and some of the most diverse different products that you can trade under the same prop firm. So check out Maven down below in the description, and thanks for watching.